Good morning from Cape Town, a very sunny Cape Town. I'm Assheton Stewart, CEO of TDI Sustainability, and our team here at TDI Sustainability and the Impact Facility are at the Mining Indaba 2025. Looking forward to the next 4 days of conversations about critical minerals, new technology, artificial intelligence, climate change and how that affects mining change. The theme this year is about future-proofing African mining today.
Future-proofing also means people and planet. Our minerals must serve our people first. It means empowering local businesses, workers, and communities to benefit directly from mining revenues. It means ensuring gender equity in the sector and empowering our women in mining, supporting artisanal small-scale miners, and driving skills development for the youth and the next generation.
Future-proofing Africa's mining industry means downstream buyers from various industries, like the automotive industry, electronic and construction, can benefit from consistent, sustainable and ethical supply of raw materials and metals, which are essential to these industries. A stable mining industry allows downstream buyers to innovate, reduce costs, and support their ESG credentials.
Yesterday, Sunday, was the meeting of the mining ministers of Africa, when many of the country's mining ministers came to town to talk about topics of mutual interest. And some of those conversations continue today in side sessions and in the panel sessions. Two things I think worth picking up on here. One is around the tremendous energy around the idea of downstream value added or beneficiation in African countries. So how can countries escape the restrictions of generating revenue from mining, but expand that into downstream activities such as primary processing, refining, the building of gigafactories, and even further downstream than that. Some pushback on that idea from the think tanks of the ministry themselves, who say that they're unlikely to invest into that type of technology here in Africa, where they're nearer, when they would like to see that nearer to the end markets. But I think there's a long way to run on that conversation, and something that we'll be following at TDI as we go into the rest of 2025. A second topic around the governments and government action is around regional cooperation of integration. So the idea here is how you can have corridors where there is the same mineralization, for example, the Copper Belt, Zambia, and the DRC, and how countries can collaborate in order to get the maximum benefit from having those important minerals in their territories rather than compete with each other. Again, I think that's a very positive sign about thinking strategically and regionally within the African context. Finally, at the Mining Indaba and in many other events that we've been to recently, technology has come up in these sessions, and at the very impressive exhibition here at the Mining Indaba, you can see that technology is taking the forefront in the thinking of mining. So this is technology such as drones, for sure, and how drones can be used for exploration, how they can be used for monitoring, but also the automation of mines. Some of these mines now having much as 70% automation, and of course AI, artificial intelligence, and how this can be used from everything from exploration to the recovery of minerals themselves. So technology for sure is going to be something that the mining is looking at to become more efficient, and I'm sure that they have a sustainable future.
Today saw the start of the Tech in Action sessions at this year's event, looking at the future of the modern mining workforce and AI, and whether mining is being disruptive enough with technology.
So this morning I participated in a panel about lateral technology transfer between the mining industry and other industries. And really the key takeaway for me was the challenges related to adoption. The bottleneck really is not technology, but how it finds its way into the mining industry. The main barrier probably to adoption is proof of value and making certain that new technologies are proven in this industry. The discussion included a robust conversation about looking more aggressively at other industries and what we can learn not only from the technologies that they successfully employ, but how they've gone about adopting these technologies and addressing these various adoption barriers with the right sort of tactics and strategies.
Digitalization is key. Access to data, being able to mine and use the data for decision making, that's where the technology is going to be key for mining.
Whatever challenges we touch mining industry is facing, it's safety, sustainability, digital transformation. It is matching very much with what we are working on. So we will continue to develop more solutions to enhance safety on our customer sites. We will be using more and more AI, and we will go brand agnostic. We connect all machines regardless the brand, and we'll be able to receive data from anything which is transmitting the data to help customer to cover the whole site operation.
So the panel was discussing who will benefit from the energy transition and why, and lots of key takeaways from this panel. First of all, the energy transition is absolutely fundamental for the mining sector in Africa. It creates a lot of opportunities, but it also creates a lot of challenges. So we discussed both opportunities and challenges. Key takeaways: engaging with communities at a very deep level is really, really important. Listening to what communities want, listening to their expectations, listening to their needs, and then structuring solutions that really work for them. Bringing in financing partners, bringing in companies, bringing in investors, and bringing in community members to shape a future that really helps communities benefit and citizens benefit from the resources with which they're endowed.
My name is Mzila Mtenjane. I'm the CEO of the Minerals Council South Africa. The Minerals Council is an advocacy body representing about just over 70 mining companies in South Africa who are responsible for upward of 90% of South Africa's mineral production. The split in the membership is half large mining companies, medium to large, as well as the balance being junior exploration and mining companies. The link with Eskom and Transnet, which is the fireside chat that we've just finished a couple of minutes ago, is significant in terms of the extent of dependence of the mining industry on these two institutions. Firstly, from an electricity perspective, it plays a very important role in as far as the processing, which is the large electricity demanding component of the mining value chain, as well as further beneficiation in several other mining commodities. From a Transnet perspective, logistics is critical, and as far as getting product to market, both within the country in South Africa, from the mines to various customers, but more importantly to external customers in terms of our exports. Mining exports consist of close to 50% of the total country's exports, so the mining industry plays a significant role in the economy of the country in terms of earning foreign exchange. And the conversation we're having earlier was really just getting an understanding from the leaders of these two institutions in terms of how the current performance is evolving, given the change in leadership almost just over a year ago, the reforms that we've been seeing coming through from government and how those are impacting on the performance of the organization. And then more importantly, the relationship that both of these institutions have established in working with the private sector to make them perform better.
This afternoon, TDI's Assheton Stewart, our CEO, moderated a panel on the implications of the development of seabed exploitation for Africa.
We have to make some of these tough decisions if we are indeed going to meet that demand. And one of those places is the deep seabed.
And we'll hear today from which parts of the ocean floor these minerals could potentially come from.
The expo is fantastic. Everybody's here. Our industry partners are here, the government's here, countries from all over the world are here. What we're looking to achieve is to really be able to connect with partners in the industry while we're here as well.
The experience has been so wonderful. Getting to meet a lot of people, different companies, learn from them, their experiences and their challenges. What is more important for us, what we hope to achieve is find ourselves finding sponsorships, investors, and also, just to be in an environment where there's a variety of service providers, particularly for mining, that are meant to make mining easier and advanced. So the experience has been wonderful.
So some of the themes coming out of this first day of the Mining Indaba 2025 in Cape Town. One theme which came through really quite strongly was biodiversity and biodiversity conservation at mining. Why is this? I think it's because of the connection between biodiversity conservation, climate change and climate action. This has come up at the recent COPs in the last 2 years, but the link that conservation of biodiversity and the sequestering of carbon in trees and biodiversity and also in the soil can obviously contribute to climate mitigation. Connected to that, of course, is the mitigation actions of mining companies, looking for how you can mitigate the effects of climate change from emissions when the pressure to reduce the decarbonisation of operations is getting higher. So the elevation of opportunities for mitigation, and of course biodiversity conservation is one of those through the mechanism of REDD+. So the land-based, forest-based sequestering of carbon as a carbon offset. Another link to biodiversity is the indigenous peoples rights and territories, and a third link is the deforestation regulations of the EU. Again, allowing the question to be asked how mining companies can conserve forests or replace forests and then demonstrate their conformance with these emerging regulations. So what has changed? Well, interesting for me, because I started in conservation about 25 years ago, and biodiversity conservation about 25 years ago, when I worked for Conservation International. And at that time, we were building the Business and Biodiversity Offset Program and developing the methodologies for biodiversity offsets. And I remember at that time, to get the attention of the mining industry, and not only the mining industry, all industries, was extremely difficult around biodiversity. To get biodiversity on the corporate radar is a difficult task. I remember surveys at that time of the general public in London and other major cities showed that people were more likely to think that biodiversity was some sort of washing powder than it was in fact the ecosystems and species on which we rely for our very existence. So biodiversity and biodiversity conservation, a very sticky issue, becoming even more important evidence here at the Mining Indaba. So thank you from me, and that is the brief reflections on the Mining Indaba in Cape Town 2025 from TDI.